Well, I was just thinking. All right, good evening, everyone. I need to thank Carrie for filling in for me when I was AWOL here last month.
I'm no replacement, Kelly.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you did fine. So thank you, it's good to see everybody. So at this time, we're going to get started with flag salute. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time we'll have a moment of silence. I think we need to remember who's in the rack down there that hopefully is not serious. Tammy, could you do the roll call of members, please?
Carrie West, here. Megan Dreher, here. Brady Pike.
Here.
Diane Page, here. Jeff Powell.
Here.
Corey Sherman.
Here.
Jermaine Stump.
Here.
Eric Sudley.
Here.
Kelly Schwager.
Here. Okay. Would someone like to make a motion to waive the reading and the approval of the minutes? Or do you want them read, or?
I make a motion that we waive the reading and approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, any opposed, discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, tonight we have some public participation. I believe we're going to start with some call-ins, or do we also have some coaches here? What's the plan?
Chris is coming in right here.
Okay, do we want to let Christy talk then first?
Okay.
Christy, do you want to tell us what you can tell us about the booster program and what your thoughts are on the question at hand about moving the games? Since we have a lot going on tonight, we're going to try and limit to 5 minutes each speaker.
As I have been in the district for 16 years, 5 years as a band booster, 3 years as president going on board, we run the concession stand. Upon doing the concession stand, we run it in 3 shifts. There is setup, there is game, and there is cleanup. There's usually about 6 people at a time. We also have Tau Beta Sigma coming from Clarion University to get in their hours for community service from game time to close. And that is usually set up as soon as you guys hand me a football schedule. Due to my schedule, I normally help set up and I help close down because I announce the games, I make sure the kids are dressed, and I make sure they are fed before every game. While we would be losing money, if we could maybe even split work on giving maybe part of the money to get concession stuff and help out, and maybe make part of that profit back, that would be an idea. But another idea would also be to maybe give us 3 or 4 extra fundraisers to cover that cost for the year. Because we do not have a lot of parents that go to union. Because their kids stay after school, we feed them, they come and pick them up after the game is over. And I can count in 5 years on one hand, roughly, how many band parents go to a union game. They all show up for the AC games. So getting help is a possibility, but it would be a struggle. And my question also is, where does our sponsorship banners go? And also, is our sponsorship list available to be read at the game? Because per our sponsorship letters, our sponsorship banner is posted in front of our concession stand every year, and they are read at the halftime by the announcer across the PA system. I didn't know if there was a way that we would be able to do that with Union. I have not had a banner made yet this year because I had no idea what was going on with this situation. Because I would like a little more input before I spend money on something that we normally do and not have it available to be displayed. And you also have to take into consideration now when I do my volunteer schedule, which I have not done yet, which I always have done by now. I put in those time slots for concession. I also put in a time slot for a van driver. And every single game, you will also need a van driver.
Do you guys already have some items purchased?
I do not. I have been holding off.
So you don't have supplies and stuff to vote on?
No, but I was going to get ready to do that because the original letter, the original email that we had received was that we had 3 games at AC on May 20th, an email on May 20th that sent out at AC on August 26th, one in September, and the last one was on October 14th. And I was going to start preparing for the August 26th game, but I now know that that has been moved to Union. So now if we do get a game, I will buy what I need as soon as possible. But that's usually paper products because our perishable items do not get bought until the week before.
So Chrissy, does the van booster still have an operating budget on an annual basis between $67,000 in a year? Is the concession stand, is that their largest fundraiser?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so when you have, I don't know it varies depending on who we're playing and what's happening. If you have 2 games, what's your net profit approximately?
Roughly
Is
$6,000.
that 2 or 3 games?
That is for 2.
Okay.
3 games is roughly about $9,000. And the year for COVID, when we lost because we were supposed to host the marching band festival, we were supposed to have 4, so roughly a little over $12,000 would have been lost that year. And putting something together at the last minute was rough. I managed, but putting last minute stuff together for fundraisers is not easy to do.
I have a question.
Yeah.
We don't even know if Union would be willing to split anything yet, correct?
They're willing to have that discussion. They talk, like, we have to get the 2 boosters together and work something out, but maybe depending on the amount of the profits, divided by the number of students in each band and distribute it out. So they're more than willing to have that discussion. The specifics have not been agreed upon or even discussed in great detail.
Didn't I see somewhere where Union's profits go to different boosters, not just band?
As far as I know, it does because they all work in concession. So in a mere technicality, the band would be double dipping on their part for their district. If they decide to split it between both bands and then as it goes to all the other organizations.
So here, the concession stand is just for band. There, it's for all the other sports.
Yes.
I don't know.
I'm not 100% sure that's true. I think that I was told that the Union concession is their band or their 2 football games. So I'm not 100% on that, but Mr. Kendall and I had that conversation.
So what all things are you paying for with that money you raise?
We pay for the band trip. We've been paying for their food that we feed them every week. We are trying to look into new sashes for the year, because the sashes, a lot of them are just destroyed. We've been replacing their shoes. We buy a lot of things, we still do the dry cleaning. We still do the dry cleaning, that runs anywhere about $1,000. We just bought their show shirts, that was $1,500.
And then we want, no, they, Jerry was saying.
We used to have it,
yeah. No.
Right. And then we have seniors, we buy all the stuff for senior night, and that runs anywhere between $600 to $1,000, depending on how many students we have.
And it showed the hand shirts.
Yeah, and I just bought those and that's $1,500.
And what about the, yeah, but the supplies, I suppose.
Band supplies, I figured roughly anywhere between about $1,000 to $2,000. Especially if we need new equipment, and that comes out every 6 months, because I have to order new stuff every 6 months.
Okay, we've had, our time is up. Are there any other questions from the board members that you need anything else explained? Thank you, you did a good job, we appreciate giving us that input. Think about everything in this decision. Okay, so we'll move on to, do we have a call or are we just
We have
doing?
Chris in here.
Okay.
Drop off.
Sorry, I was late, I just came from practice. So I'm Chris McGinney, I'm one of the varsity football coaches. I'm here on behalf of the whole staff. Basically, our opinion is that we don't want to play any games here, not this year, not until we get the field fixed. As a staff, we came to the school board at the end of last football season, shortly after our last game, brought up the concerns about the field, and here we are, we're still talking about it. Now, we do have a committee, and we are moving forward. As far as the band is concerned, I mean, we feel for them, and we understand that they're going to be losing revenue, and we hope that they can get that resolved. And we're not naive enough to think that we respect them and we want them there. But honestly, in the last couple of years, they don't even travel to away games. So for us to be concerned about whether or not we put our players in the right situation for just the fact that they're need to come up with another way to fundraise shouldn't be our concerns. We had 2 kids last year get hurt on this field, both with ankle injuries, one with a foot and a higher foot injury and one with an ankle injury. We've had other coaches from other schools come to us before games with concerns about playing on the field. Port Allegheny's coach was pretty. We had to talk about playing on the field. I mean, there was a big discussion before the game last year here. You guys entrust us to teach them how to play football the right way. We teach them how to tackle so they're safe. We teach them how to do everything. We make sure they're hydrated in practice. We go through all this other stuff. We really hope that you listen to us when we say that we don't want our program playing on that field until there's something done, until we can move forward with this. Hopefully we can get it all resolved. And we've got a lot of good people working very hard on it behind the scenes to try to figure it out. But until that happens, we got a nice facility with there's no questions asked over there. It's a beautiful place to play. I mean, I'm sure that if everybody sits down, we can figure out something that where we can have a mutual thing there. Not only as coaches, there's 7 of us on the staff that are AC Valley alumnus. So we're not doing this because we're union members. We're exactly the opposite, probably. We want to play here. Out of the 7 coaches that are from AC, that are AC alumnus, 4 of us have boys on the team. So as a father, I don't want my son playing that field. So until we do something, or if we can do something, that's as a staff, that is our recommendation.
Chris, can I ask what the boys' opinion is on this?
We asked the boys. What they wanted to do. We asked them if we wanted to try to maybe play like an early season home game there. They were like, yeah, if we can. they're like, can we have a homecoming at Union, you know, can we do that? Yeah, but we're like, yeah, we'll figure that all out, we'll figure out the logistics of it. So, I mean, they are, I don't know, there's nobody that is adamant that we play here, I guess I'll put it that way. Would they be a little disappointed, I think, maybe, but yeah, but I mean, they're also, it comes a point where we gotta make that decision, you know what I mean? It's like, is it playing a high-level varsity game on that field is not. Names, so obviously you guys should walk it, but there's a lot of bad spots.
We have.
Okay.
What is your opinion, because I know this has come up, just asking your opinion as a coach, because you know the field. Varsity plays at a different level. So, you know, the other levels playing on the field, whether that be JV, I, youth level, is that something that you have, you know, taken into consideration?
Well, we talked about that. I mean, as far as, you know, obviously there's a big difference between a 7 and 8-year-old playing on that field than there is a 17 or 18-year-old. I mean, our game's faster, it's more violence to begin with. Yeah, we talked about that. I mean, as a staff, we don't really want to play JV or varsity there. I mean, our 7th and 8th grade, we've talked about that. But depending on how the field gets later on in the season, I mean, that would almost have to be a week-to-week thing as far as that goes too. I mean, when that field gets wet up there, this lower corner is, I mean, it's really bad. It doesn't drain at all. I mean, the footing is not good. I mean, you're talking, you take big clumps and saw it out and you end up with almost like a pasture field where cows have walked through it, like with potholes in it because it's so soft and the ground doesn't recover. And it could be 3/4 of the field is dry. But the 1/4 of the field on the away sideline down towards the elementary school, towards the retaining wall, when it starts getting wet in the fall, it becomes a real issue. That being said, if we were going to play any of that other stuff under, it would be nice to put some topsoil in some of the other holes and try to get it seeded or something along those lines. I mean, if you're going to do something like that. But, I mean, as far as speaking on it on whether anybody else, I mean, that's up for their staff and their, you know, their administrator, you know, or their board or whatever they would feel.
I just wonder if it was at a point where you would recommend that none of the teams use that field at this point.
Yeah, I'm at the understanding our staff doesn't want anybody or us doing it on there at this point, so, unless there's something else, but I can't speak on it. If I had a child in that program, I would know. I can answer it now. Good.
Any other questions? Okay, do we have any other public participation this evening? Okay, not seeing any, we're going to break for an executive session for personnel reasons at this time, and then we'll come back and continue with the meeting. So we're moving to the gym, correct?
Correct, yeah, and just the school board members currently along with Attorney Rudo, and then we'll invite some other staff members.
Watch your feet.
I think, well, that's cheaper right now.
I wasn't listening to the list. He's baseball.
Since you're not there.
You're welcome. I'm sorry it took me so long to get it to you. I hope he hasn't outgrown it.
He might
Get a takeout order?
They're 3
I
to
didn't
6
even get
months, so I'm
one
hoping it'll still fit in.
He's in it, but he's about to not be in it, so we might give it a week or two.
Because I wasn't here to give it to you. I'm like, if I don't get those to her, you're welcome. I thought they were cute. They have better voice clothes now than they did when my kids were little.
Yeah. Who got me?
They are.
Like the dinosaur.
Yeah.
Fire trucks, yeah.
Oh, that's right, I forgot.
The shorts are a little bit longer than 12 to 18. I don't know for next Sunday.
He's really getting growing then, huh?
Yeah. For next summer. Oh, we don't know, maybe I'm looking.
Yeah, I do. Are these the ones with one vote? I know when I saw them, I thought.
Like that compared to jeans. You know? He's getting up there.
That's good though. You'd rather have that though than the other, right?
Basketball.
All right, I think we're all back. Thank you for giving us the chance there. We're back from our executive session. I don't believe we have any presentations this evening.
We don't.
And are there any board concerns?
If there are, nobody's offering one.
There he will gag you.
My concerns left about 45 minutes.
All right, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items you would like pulled from the consent agenda to be voted on separately? Not hearing anything, do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I so move. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion of any items?
Just keep in mind that the workshop that Dr. Stewart put into, we eliminated that. She's no longer going to participate in that workshop.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, Meg, would you do finance and purchase?
Yeah, mail off A through F together, that's to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Letter G, consideration to approve the natural gas contract with UGI Energy Services LLC for the month of August at market rate and giving authority to the business manager and annual superintendent to sign and execute a natural gas contract on behalf of the school board. The contract will be sent to our solicitor for review before signing, and once the contract is signed, details of the contract will be presented at the following board meeting. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Just keep in mind that the rate right now for a 12 month is $7.99 per DTH, and then a 24 month is $6.74, and that's more than double our current rate. So we'll continue to wait, but Andrea speaks to UGI on a bi-weekly basis, and we don't see any kind of major reprieve before winter starts and at the end of the travel season. So we're thinking maybe September it may drop a bit. So we'll be optimistic to be able to sign that contract and report back out.
Is there any way we can change that into having both the business manager and the superintendent sign off instead of either or? So just take up the or, just so it's giving authority to the business manager and superintendent to sign and execute natural gas.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you want both of them?
Yep.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
H, consideration to approve reimbursing local tax collectors for a total of $420 for costing her regarding software and installation needed for real estate taxes as follows. Jerry Marion, $110, Sue Ann Chasey, $90, and Linda Strasser, $220.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, Eric, would you do personnel, items D, E, and F, we will not need because we have no applicants for those positions.
Okay.
And then you should be able to lump I through Q together as one motion.
Okay. For personnel, A, consideration to approve transferring Beth Pence from part-time child-specific aid, 3.5 hours per day, the high school building to part-time child-specific aid, 3.75 hours per day, at the elementary building. All required paperwork is on file with the district office. So, second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. David, should those hours be the same?
We had approved 3.75 for the other part-time employees, and we're just trying to maximize as much as we can for
Okay.
the portion of the day. So yeah, we were hoping to increase that by 15 minutes.
Okay, just wanted to check on that. Any other discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
B, consideration to approve hiring Rebecca Russell as a part-time, 3.75 hours per day, child-specific aid, upon receipt of all appropriate documentation, contingent upon a 60 workday probationary period, at an hourly rate of $12. Upon completion of the 60-day workday probationary period, the hourly rate will be $13 per hour. So, second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Did you say she was already working in the building, but for the IU, is that what?
She was working for North Clarion, they had a student in an IU class. So previously, correct, she was in the building.
But not for us.
Okay,
Yeah, and not for the IU, but
okay.
Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
C, consideration to approve hiring Serena Smith as a part-time, 3.75 hours per day, child-specific aid, upon receipt of all appropriate documentation, contingent upon a 60-day workday probationary period, at an hourly rate of $12. Upon completion of the 60-day workday probationary period, the hourly rate will be $13 per hour. So, second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
So now she's a complete new hire then?
yeah, she had previously worked with the IU, and she was in the building as well.
So they both have been in the building, they just weren't paid by
I
us.
think, okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Skipping down to G, consideration to approve hiring Chris Manning and Brad Hidman as co-head varsity boys basketball coaches upon receipt of all appropriate documentation at a supplemental salary of $2,650. So, second.
I'm sorry, did you second? Somebody second?
Corey did.
Corey, thank you, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Moved and seconded, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
On to H, consideration to approve the request for Megan Bashorn to fill the vacated junior high student council advisor position at a supplemental salary of $761, beginning with the 2022-23 school year as attached. So, second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
So I could lump together, what did you say, I through?
I through Q, since they are all volunteer requests.
Okay. Lumping together I through Q, so moved.
Any discussion? Okay, so these are all requests of community members who are going to volunteer in some of the various sporting teams that we have in the district. We appreciate their help. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, abstentions? I lost my train of thought, sorry.
Opposed?
Thank you. It's been a long night. Opposed? Motion carries.
On to R, consideration to approve utilizing Deanna Wakefield as a career counselor through the United Way of Venango County. So, second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
And S, consideration to approve utilizing David Kinman as a long-term Spanish substitute for the 2022-23 school year. So, second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? We're glad that Dave's willing to do that, because we need him. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, we'll move on to instructional services. Corey, can I ask you to lead us on that?
Sure. Mrs. Sherman, elementary report.
Well, as you can imagine, this is a very busy time in both buildings. And there's hundreds of things I could report on, but I'm not going to do that. But I will tell you, we had new student registration August 9th and 10th, and that added about 10 new students to our building. And it brought our kindergarten total to 43, and there are 2 other potential kindergarten students coming in. So we have a nice sized kindergarten class, about 14 or 15 students per grade, or per classroom. And the teachers, you would think that we are already in session, as many teachers have been in the building getting ready, and I have meetings with them. That's not mandatory for them to do, but they have been willing to do some Zoom meetings and some trainings. And this week we'll have our first PBIS team meeting on Wednesday and our handwriting without tears training on Thursday. So I appreciate that they're willing to give that time ahead of time to get things in place for next year. We will have kindergarten orientation on August 22nd. It begins at 4 o'clock. We anticipate it will last about an hour. In addition to seeing their classrooms and meeting their teachers and seeing their desks and their cubbies and all of that, there'll also be a bus out here to tour, and we're going to let them go through the cafeteria line and check out what going through the line is like. So to kind of get them ready for that. And lastly, I've been working with Aaron over the past week to add a transportation tab to our school website. So under departments, you'll see transportation. It's already up and running. The only thing that's not active yet are the bus links. So in addition to like the transportation handbook and some different transportation forms that parents might need to access, there's also a blurb about how transportation runs for the year, and then each bus number will be there, and student or parents, families will be able to click on that bus number and see the route progression. There's no family names or anything like that. They'll just see like street names and like Crawford Center or Parker Fire Hall, and then there'll be approximate times for pickup and drop off at each of those places. So at the end of this week, we will still put out the all-call by bus number. So families will get an all-call telling them that if their student rides bus 2, that's why they're getting this all-call. If that doesn't sound right to them, they should call in, but then it will direct them to the website, and they can click on bus 2 to see where their stop would fall in that progression and get an estimate. Of course, we'll recommend that they be about 10 minutes early that first week, because as we iron things out with new move-ins and graduates, routes change a little bit. So even when the drivers go out and try their new routes, it doesn't always go that smoothly the first couple of days. So it's just something new we're going to try so that people have a place that they can go. The all calls have been a little confusing for people in the past because the message is so long and it's hard to follow. That was feedback that we had gotten. So I looked around at some other schools and how they were putting it on their websites and sort of modeled it after that. And Erin has been wonderful to help me figure out how to get that done. So that's something new for us this year, which is kind of under transportation, but I thought I'd put it in this report and just do it all at once. And that's all I have for today.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, consideration to approve the Allegheny Clarion Valley Elementary School Plan for the 2022-2023 school year as attached. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Not hearing any. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the Allegheny Clarion Valley School District K-6 School-wide Title I Program Handbook 2022-2023 and school-wide Title I school plan 2022-2023 as attached. So moved.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
All right, Dr. Jordan, Secretary.
I'll keep mine pretty short to pare it down. I did want to give the district some good news regarding PSSAs. I shared specific data with David and Lori today regarding our test scores and the different categories. Just to give you an idea, grades 3 through 8, there are 65 indicators of performance. As an example, the percentage of students that are advanced on the 8th grade ELA test, that's an indicator. Out of those 65 indicators, our district performed better than 2021 in 52 of those categories, which is considered an 80% performance improvement. And I would agree with what David emailed me back. It's a step in the right direction. Some of those are small little gains, but there are a lot of good things looking in our last report. And I think if we continue to make the changes that we are making now, that report should only get better in the next few years. If you want any of those specific details, see me or email me and I can talk about some of those. Mrs. Logue was in my building today again, and we were working on what we've worked on all summer, scheduling. If you've heard from some teachers that the class sizes are too large, it's true. Some of the class sizes were extremely large. For example, Mrs. Farrington's algebra class, we had 28 kids scheduled in there. There are only 22 desks. And there's not enough room to put more desks. So we worked today to break some of those down. I think we have a decent schedule now to where there are no more than 22 kids in any of the classes. And the class of 28 was broken right down the middle in half. So we're ready for the first day of school. And hopefully there are not too many schedule changes after this because it's been a total nightmare with the inclusion schedule. We have 2 international exchange students with us this year. We welcome Maria Garcia from Spain and Sarah Diamati from Italy to our school. So if you happen to see those 2 young ladies, they will be attending 11th and 12th grade, and we welcome them to our school. The board has asked me to provide the number of students participating in the marching band. Dr. DiTullio held his first day of band camp today, and I counted 14 students in attendance. I don't know if that's all of them that will show, but that's what was in attendance today. Finally, I just want to say our high school looks fantastic. Custodial staff has done an amazing job of taking a 57, 58-year-old building and just making it beautiful. So kudos to them and to Mark, he's not here, but for getting them to take care of that year after year. It just looks wonderful. And last one, today's the first day of fall sports officially, so we're off and running. That's my report.
Thank you. All right, consideration to approve the Allegheny Clarion Valley Junior Senior High School plan for the 2022-2023 school year as attached.
Okay, it's been approved and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
All right, next was just a discussion related to the ACV marching band number. Dr. Woodson, 14 student participants. Do we have any other discussion about that?
I'll just highlight that we are having a joint practice on Thursday, correct?
Correct.
So that if our students do not have enough to march, they will march with you, is what I understand.
We're going to focus in on STEM music, but also that's the ultimate goal. We're going to do that. Now, both bands are scheduled for 1 hour, so I'm not exactly sure how much they can be done in 1 hour, but
Is Scott going to be there?
no. Right now, it'll be Dr. Jordan and myself.
I will be there.
Okay.
Thank you, Chris.
Do we know the reason? So,
He said he had doctor's appointment, I believe.
Personally.
Sorry, what was his projected amount, wasn't it
24 to 30.
So I'm going to bring this up and you guys can just discuss. Do we want to indicate at all that the band will always be performing, whether they perform with union or if we have enough to perform on their own, but they will be expected to perform at games?
I think that would be,
Okay, so that's kind of a directive from us. Are we all in agreement?
yes.
Okay, so whether that means they need another practice, but we will expect at a game, let's say there's only 8 ACV students show up and they can't perform their show, then they should march with union. That's,
I think we definitely need to include a number of that. If there's, X number of kids, they can be on their own, but if there's not X number of kids, they should go with you. I think we can specify a number.
okay. I mean, I don't feel qualified to give that number because I don't know the show,
I was
but
gonna say, how do we set a number to that? I mean, Scott would be the one to say.
We don't know what they're showing.
no,
Yeah, but
so,
is he gonna do it? That number hits 8, can you do it or not?
well, I mean, if you don't have enough kids to perform the routine, I would think,
My only concern is if we don't put a number in there, that the adults are not gonna go along, and then it's just gonna be kids. That's.
I can see that, but like you said, not knowing the show, can you do the show with 8 kids? Possibly. I don't know, because I'm not a band director, so.
Can you
Depends
do?
on which kids show up that night.
That's true,
Depends on the instruments that are there.
that's true.
I would say they're just expected to be good. I mean, he's making decisions where they just haven't gone
Right.
at all, right? Not that they just haven't gone.
Some of the away games we did not go to, and some of the games that we did go to, we didn't have enough kids to perform. So again, it shows not.
So let's clarify then, our directive as a board is that we expect the band to perform either as an ACV unit or as an ACV union unit.
Yes.
Is that clear? Everybody's in agreement with that? And then I think, Brady, we can see how that goes to see if we need to be more specific. Is that okay?
Yeah.
You can't really say numbers, you have to do instrumentation, because if you, depending on,
You could have all 8 kids and they all be flutes, and
Yeah.
nobody else, and that
Yeah.
wouldn't work.
Well, I mean, if it comes that way too, fine, I just want something in there, so if the adults don't belong, the kids are still. able
Right.
to-
well, I mean, if he's gonna say, no, we're not performing, well, then he's performing with union. So,
Okay, is everybody okay with that for now, and then we'll see how things progress? So I don't know who wants to portray, to send it to.
Sorry, what's the expectation moving forward for more combined practices?
We don't have, there's no discussion on the table right now, and per that agreement, it said that we'll have one practice.
We gonna evaluate that, I mean, we kind of were gonna wait and see what the numbers were this year and then decide moving forward.
this is the last year of the
Right.
agreement, so yeah.
So,
So as this year progresses, we will need to
not
evaluate.
looking good.
But I think there's going to have to be more joint practices if they're gonna step in and perform.
That's gonna have to be brought up at some point.
So how they wanna handle that is up to them, but I think in fairness to the students, they need to be allowed to practice together
Yes.
more than one time to be able to perform together successfully.
You said it's an hour long.
Yeah, this Thursday, will be 1 hour together.
But I would think they need more time than that if they're gonna do the
By
entire
the
show
time
together.
they get going, it's probably.
I'm thinking this practice is just for one number that we were gonna have them do together, right?
Well, they
Stand-
talked about
it's
the-
stand music, I think.
Stand music,
Oh, okay, so they're already practicing stand music this time.
yes.
That's the first goal, but I did talk to USD and told them that that's the goal long term, that we may have to combine depending on the number of students. So I'm not sure if Lisa has different ideas or projections or what Dr. Gould and I should have to do, but we'll be up there.
If it warrants a meeting between the boards and the band leaders, then we need to conduct that, I think. Would you agree?
Yes.
We did the same thing with football.
Right.
Yeah.
So if it seems to be an issue, David, you let us know and we'll schedule something, whether it's the whole board or a team or whatever we want to do.
I just don't wanna see kids getting left out again this year.
Right, I agree. And I think that's what we discussed last year, that we would
Right.
make sure it didn't happen this year, but, you know, we were gonna give them a year to try and work it out, so. Is everybody okay with that? Anything else you want added? Okay, I'll let you.
Letter C, federal programs.
The district has an opportunity to get a grant through for the school safety and security, and it's through PCCD, which is the PA Commission on Crime and Delinquency. The total for that grant is $218,000, 916. That would be $109,458 for mental safety and security, and then $109,458 for physical safety. We will be getting together tomorrow to work on the application for this grant.
So this is in addition to what we already got?
You,
I think this
what are you
is
saying?
the same one.
You mean as far as our regular BFE?
Right.
Yeah, correct. It's in
Okay.
addition to.
But it can only be used for specific items.
All right.
Yeah.
Is this where you were planning as another school officer? Is it-
Yeah, that's some different ideas we're working on right now. We did have a gentleman come in to measure the windows for racking that we talked about. I talked to Mark Milford about some kind of transportation. We're looking into different costs, whether it be a side-by-side, or maybe a minigame that could be multi-purpose, and various items such as that.
Could we also, some of the costs, for example, the guidance counselor, the counselor comes in once a week, could that be funneled through this grant instead of through our current budget?
We're looking at that. Yeah, we're looking at using the money from ESSER and or from this mental health safety school grant. So yeah, we're discussing right now. So we'll have 5 days a week with that social worker to help work with the mental emotional stuff.
Letter D, district.
Okay, Corey, I have a few items. The one item is due to our financial concerns that we have, not only short-term but also long-term, we had contact with PASBO officials, and Andrea and I have met with them on several occasions. I plan to add a little piece of our financial dilemma to each of my reports. So this particular month, we have talked to folks from PASBO about just 2 items specific, local taxes in conjunction with cyber charter school costs. So some of the data has been about a 10-year span that we've looked at, dating back to the 2013-14 school year. And just one piece that I'd like to note, and I'm not going into all the data, I could share this graph with you, but the local revenue went up 0.6%, even though we've been increasing to the index each of the last 10 years, 10 out of 11 years, goes up in 2 counties, goes down in 2 counties. The overall rate of increase for property tax has been $384,045. Now, contrary to that, the increased cost of cyber charter school has gone up $590,000, or 153.8% of that tax growth. So even if we're continuing to be level funded, which we are through this new fair funding formula, and it does not favor AC Valley or small rural school districts similar to us, we can't make up on our tax increases, which maybe some of the larger schools can if they have that situation take place. So we're in a very difficult situation right now, and we're reviewing all of the revenue and expenditures as well, and we'll continue to provide you with more information. But those are a couple of big ticket items right there that we struggle with because we are in 4 different counties, the only school in the state. Moving on, I did put in for Dave Sittler and myself to attend a school safety summit in Pittsburgh in November. And this summit is being provided by the Pennsylvania Office of Homeland Security. Part of the new Act 55 regulations are ongoing training for not only the safety and security key contact, but also school police and teachers. And I'll add that to the up-and-coming school board agenda, the in-service agenda that I'll share with you. So we'll continue to maintain the required trainings. Part of that PCCD grant that Andrea talked about is training associated with that. We are looking specifically to mental health tomorrow morning. We'll be working with the school counselors to provide us with various ideas for how to best spend that money. And that money can be spent out to 2024. So we'll be looking at a long-term program, not only for the mental well-being, but also the physical safety. Now, you're well aware that we do have our opening in service. It's coming up here on the 22nd, and the students will be back on the 24th. We have a kickoff here at 7:30 a.m., I'm inviting all the school board members. We are going to have breakfast here in the cafeteria. We'll be meeting as the entire district. We're going to talk about various aspects of day-to-day operations, such as safety, COVID safety plans, policy review, handbook review, and we do have a motivational speaker coming in from PARS, their director, Dr. Ed Elbert. He's going to talk a little bit about the funding lawsuit, which would definitely benefit schools like AC Valley, but he's also going to share his experience as well to try to motivate our staff and prepare for the school year. In addition to that, we'll be working on the differentiated supervision plan. Bill and Lori will work with their staff. We have Scott Hagee coming in from Ed Insight to be able to analyze some of our student data. He breaks it down. It's a program that the teachers will have access to be able to differentiate their instruction if and when needed, depending on student growth. And day 2, we'll have a special education and trauma training at the high school. And then the teachers, both at the elementary and high school, will be working with staff from IU6, Dr. Philman and Ben Groth. And they're going to be working on unpacking the prioritized standards. So we have these state standard framework that we have to work on, and Dr. Jordan talked about some of our data. It's hard to cover everything that's in that content. So we're breaking it down and looking a little bit deeper as far as the standards that are being assessed and what those assessments look like. For example, open-ended responses. We sat in the boardroom, we analyzed our data, and our students are not being successful as far as completing the open-ended response. And that's just one little example. So we'll continue to work on not only that assessment anchor, but how we assess the students and provide feedback. So we've got most of that day filled up, and then Bob's going to be working specifically with the math teacher because our goal is to continue to increase our math scores. We'll finish off that day with the threat assessment training. Part of Act 55, the threat assessment team from both buildings and myself will sit down, review policy, and make sure we have a plan in place. And then this Wednesday, I'm going to send out a welcome back message to the community, and I'll touch on a variety of different aspects. I'll also have a link to the website so that they can access as well and be able to read the information that I shared with them. So we're up and running, and just like Bill said earlier, I think the summer staff worked very hard, and that's just not the custodial staff, that's the administration that has been here, the support staff, and everybody on campus. And I do appreciate everybody and the work that they put in this summer. Corey, that concludes my report.
Thank you. All right, consideration to approve the Allegheny Clarion Valley School District Comprehensive Plan for the 2022 through 2025 school year as attached. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the Allegheny Clarion Valley School District differentiated supervision plan for the 2022-2023 school year as attached. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve charging $2,626.58 per student for each sport that an outside cyber student participates in at ACV. The cost will be billed directly to the cyber school of record. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Do we have anybody ever do that?
One.
We had one last year.
Yep.
Did we keep the same amount this year, or did that go up?
No, that's the same amount. We didn't have any data available this year, so that's the consistent number that we're going to use.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
All right, consideration to approve the ACV Union football team to play all home varsity football games for the 2022-2023 school year at the Union School Field. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I don't know, I'm kind of torn between it. I feel like, I understand the football point of view that, I understand that view on it, but I also understand the band boosters' point of view. I feel like it's going to create more issues, and it's going to drive the little volunteers and help that they have available away. And then at that point, what is the likelihood of getting them to come back and help again?
I'm gonna look at it from a little bit of a different perspective in that there are other ways to make up that revenue. You know, other fundraising efforts, we haven't talked to union yet, you know, what we can work out with them. So when you're talking about a field that could potentially cause, you know, injury to students or talking about state safety versus,
Fundraising.
a little differently.
I keep hearing David saying there will be football, Friday night football on the campus as long as he is superintendent. You said that years ago. I don't know if you even remember that.
We've been fighting hard to keep it.
And I keep thinking about that, and again, I understand the safety, but also the community spirit and keeping the identity of having the things here.
We're not saying this is an indefinite,
Right, I understand.
you know, but if we have to, until we get the funds to fix that field.
If ever, that's
How-
right.
Here's my question. We've been discussing it for what, 18 months?
Yeah.
Has there been any money raised yet at all?
No.
Well, I think that committee was just formed for the fundraising stuff,
A couple months ago.
so, yeah, and that's pretty new. I don't think the fundraising efforts have been underway for a year, because I think it was just at the end of the football season last year, correct, that you guys came to the board and talked about.
We came at the end of last season, we talked about this in 2016, we talked about it in 2012, we talked about it in, I think 2010 also. So we've had multiple discussions, not just with the school. I said on the committee, we are discussing different options and looking at what we can do. As far as raising for money right now, we're not even sure what is our best option yet as far as how we're gonna do the field. That's not what we're discussing now. We're discussing the fact that we play a game here in 4 weeks. And who's gonna be responsible if a kid breaks his leg in a hole out there? Hopefully not me. And hopefully, somebody's not worried about the $3,000 the boosters lose. Every other booster program here raises money outside of not having that concession. Shouldn't even be a discussion.
I do understand where the coaches are coming from, being that I played football for 9 years and playing on a consistent field that's, a playoff bound football team would be very important to get into host that first game at home, hopefully, and understand their concerns as far as that goes. Myself, as everybody else, football starts Friday night. It may be enough motivation if we do have a game at USD for the school year to get the committee moving in the right direction and get that field fixed the way it should be fixed, long term. And then it's a no plus. I guess that's from my perspective. And again, I'm just like everybody else in long term with that.
I did talk with Paul Murray on my way up here, who indicated that he's fine with the younger kids playing there. He sees no issue with that, so.
I am torn also. I understand where the coaches are coming from, but I also have a lot of compassion for the community. I know what the community likes, and
In this issue, I don't know how
school
we
will
can,
be losing money as well.
I don't know how,
Maybe it'll be the fire under everybody's butt.
Yeah.
To get the fundraising that we need.
I think we have to put the player's safety above how the community is gonna take it. If they know the dire need that we're in, then maybe they'll help participate in raising those funds so that we can come back
People
next
say
year.
it's not safe. Experts are contacted and no one will come in and say.
They don't have
The other thing is-
liability.
The other thing is the money we're
I
losing.
think the fact that we have 7 coaches that graduated from here and have a vested interest in wanting to see football at AC Valley, who don't want the kids to play on it, to me, that's enough for me to say that if they don't want the kids playing on it, that
It's
it's
a much
wrong.
nicer field, there's no
It
doubt about it.
absolutely is. There's no doubt.
I wish we could have a concern like that. We should have had that concern 30 years ago before we started neglecting the facilities. And I get where you're coming from. I want my son to play his senior year here, my junior year here. I played here, for God's sakes, we all want our kids to play here. But I also don't want my son to lose his senior year because he tears his ACL because there's a pothole in the field, or there's no drainage.
Any other discussion? Okay, so all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Okay, you need that again?
What is opposing, we have to make stops opposing.
No, that's it.
Diane's opposed. Okay, any abstentions? Motion carries.
I'll contact Dr.
We have,
We don't have school leave.
No report.
all right, let's move on to policy. Carrie, will you do policy?
Sure. Consideration to approve a review of policy number 249, bullying, cyberbullying as attached. So moved.
Did I hear a second? I'm sorry. Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the first reading of policy number 218, student discipline as attached. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing any, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, do we have a facilities? We don't have anything tonight. Okay, so we'll move on to transportation. Janine, would you do that for us?
Sure. Consideration to approve the transportation director as a designee to oversee the routes and placement of the students on routes and making route adjustments throughout the 2022-2023 school year as deemed necessary. So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Is that just a formality?
Yeah, that was a recommendation for the audit.
Oh, that's right.
Unfortunately, we're not giving Lori any less work. I'd like to say we were, but I'm sorry, we're not.
That's all right, I'm used to it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the 2022-2023 contractor driver list as attached. So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I had a quick question. What's the asterisk mean beside some of the names? It wasn't a key.
I don't have a copy of it in front of me. Oh, sorry. Ryan made the list.
So, she was right.
Can I look at yours? We have it.
Yeah.
If I can see whose names it's by, I might know.
I was just curious. Some of them have asterisks.
It could be paperwork required, such as if you're physical.
No, that's on the separate sheet.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I was sorry, basically.
Would you just like to type in asterisks, Devin?
I can ask him. Okay, got it.
Okay, we're good? All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
Consideration to approve the request from Tracy Irwin Transportation to add Brad Rapp upon receipt of all appropriate documentation and an interview with the administration as a substitute driver. So moved. Second.
Tracy got a hold of the district office today and said that she no longer needs Brad as a substitute driver, so we don't necessarily have to put.
Okay, so we're going to disregard that motion and remove it from the agenda. Okay, so we will move on to miscellaneous. Let's see, who do I pick on? Diane.
Do we have a career center report?
Yes. We hired a new cosmetology instructor, and we hired a new cosmetology instructor assistant, because that's who we hired as the cosmetology instructor. And we hired a hair professional, an aide. Of course, as everybody is, we're looking for aides for them there. I can't wait for you guys to see the place. The painting is done, is so nice. And she's got the new security entrance put in, and then she's gonna get the wraparounds and the rest of the stuff finished up here. So it's gonna look really, really nice.
When are we going?
October.
October.
And then also, Diana's gonna fill in for me as an alternate. I haven't been able to make the last few meetings, so at least until reorganization, she's gonna fill in.
Right, she doesn't Zoom, Tracy doesn't do the Zoom, she prefers everybody to be in person. I think, first of all, just because she wants people to be there. We struggle with getting a quorum, but she also has not had a person, she hasn't had an Aaron to do all of that for her, so she has struggled to run the meeting and do the Zooms herself. So we're hopeful that maybe once the new computer networking instructor gets in and gets acclimated, that possibly down the road, we can convince them to do Zoom or remote. But we'll see what happens. So, yeah, Diane is the alternate, so she said she would go. We're good.
We did go to the Career Center for a meeting. How many years ago was it?
It's been a while.
I was there. Were you there, Jimmy?
It was my first year,
Okay, so it's been a while, but we did have a meeting up there a number of years ago and toured the facility as a board, so.
Yeah, Tracy's done a wonderful job and made some nice changes and brought some things up to speed.
Okay, do we have an intermediate unit report?
We have been on summer break, so we have a meeting on Wednesday.
Any correspondence?
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Technology committee,
We have not met.
athletic committee update.
Mostly discussed the football field and hiring of coaches. The difficulty.
Football field renovation committee update.
There's no update right now, Diane. We're still exploring grants and fundraising ideas, and we couldn't get enough people together to have a meeting this month, but we'll continue to meet.
And youth football they did their,
501c3 status,
Yeah.
so that's a step in the right direction for grants.
like, tell us.
And finance committee.
And we haven't met.
Okay.
Any old business? I think we need to give Christie some direction. Are we going to, you're gonna discuss what happens next with the boosters and let her know?
Dr. Kimmel made a recommendation to get the booster groups together to figure out, the specifics as far as how they're going to conduct the fundraising events that we stand. And we'll continue to facilitate that conversation, but they're very open to work with us, Christie, so we'll continue to work together on that.
Program too, that we just donated for our football program. I don't know, is that one program?
Yeah, our cheerleaders sell the programs that we gain.
So, okay, so that's, no,
And then she brought up the point of the sponsor banners and the sponsors being read during the game. What are we going to do with that?
Yeah, we need to make sure that happens.
That needs to be part of that conversation.
Right.
Try to get that incorporated, I think.
So David will contact you about a meeting so that you can be prepared, so you know what the boosters from here, what you're gonna have or what. We need to try and make this equal, so.
And they're aware of some of your concerns, Christie, right now, that's why they wanted to have a meeting with you, so I'm very optimistic with that ongoing discussion.
I have not always
Pardon?
and I'm here all,
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so new business, we have a couple new business items that came in before the agenda was done, but they're of a timely matter that we need to cover, so I'm gonna hand this to one of you. Get back here. I'm coming for you. Would you mind handling those new business items?
And they just came in late today, and they're not of significant value, so we can adjust the school board agenda if you choose.
Okay, request from Allegheny to use the school parking lot for overflow parking on August 20th for Sunnyborn's annual company golf outing. I think we got a letter here from.
Yeah, it's that, a few of those you've already got the correspondence at receipt, so.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion?
I looked at the football schedule for both varsity, JV, junior high, and youth, and there's no conflict at this time.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
We received a letter of resignation as junior high girls basketball coach from Carrie Forsythe. She's also asking to be a volunteer with the program until a new coach is hired. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? I believe there's kind of a time thing with that. That's why we needed to get that advertising out. Prove it tonight.
When's that season?
I don't have dates.
Bill, do you have that information?
What was the question?
When does that season start?
Junior high girls basketball.
No, that's not till the spring, I believe.
Also, we have
I see Carrie coming in here practicing.
November, sorry.
Yeah.
November, yeah.
November, so they're kind of already
Late
working.
fall, boys are in the spring.
Okay.
Spring.
All right, so now I lost, have we motioned yet? You made a motion, we have a second, okay. We've had discussion, okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstention, motion carries.
Now, we need to advertise for vacated junior high girls basketball coach position. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions, motion carries.
Okay, I have one other thing, and I know I said everybody else has to keep their mouth shut for those new concerns, but when Laura was doing her elementary report, it dawned on me that someone did call me this week after, or last week after the workshop, asking about some of the vacancies that we do have to be posted on our Facebook page, and I could not remember why we said we were only gonna use the Facebook page for certain things, but I mean, is that something that we can consider? I mean, it definitely gets more visibility, people can share it, it may get the word out there a little bit more to have those vacancies posted on our Facebook page.
Yeah, we can get that done. We just have it on the website right now because that's our central tool of communication. But if we're going to post it, we can easily send her information.
I can post whatever's sent to me. No problem.
I have a question about something. When you look it up on the website, they just said you need to turn in 3 letters of reference this, it never gives like a description of what's happening. And I've had people ask. So I didn't know, because I know some schools like have little things, little names to put job, break the description of what they're applying for. But I noticed that's kind of this, like I had to look and I kind of noticed that was like missing from our website. Other than just submit your resume, your 3 letters of reference and there.
We can talk about that and see, you know, I guess it's understood if there's a question, they can call and ask what the position's about, but I'm sure at some point we can work on that. It's just giving Aaron more work. Where'd you go? He's hiding back there. He's hiding behind that curtain. He doesn't want.
It's just a bit for like, might have more response on it.
Okay, thank you. We'll take that into consideration, see how we can work that out.
Phil Strasser asking to be approved as volunteer with the junior high golf team. He is currently an assistant coach. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries.
And we've already taken care of this last one. Tracy Irwin removed right now.
Okay,
I'm sorry, Jeff, I thought you were already done, I thought you said this. Totally interrupted you.
all right, any other new business? All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Okay, we are adjourning to an executive session for personnel reasons.
We will not be returning, so you can exit. You're not coming to board.